Welcome back to Learning to Sleep a New Way. Patricia Toole, occupational therapist, and Alex Toole, sleeper and self-advocate. This course is all about getting started with nighttime postural care. So you will remember, last lesson we introduced the process, respectfully observing, adding support where needed, using everyday materials, making the bed, trying it out, strategies, and timeline. So in our last lesson, we talked about respectfully observing. Today I want to talk about how to add support where needed. We're going to start with respectfully observing, and then we're going to add in supports. I'd like you to think about, how does your body lay when you're in your bed? So let's start with the knees. We always start there. You're on your back, you're in bed. Do your knees go to one side? Do they go together or apart? If your knees are going to one side, the other, together or apart, that's because your hamstrings are probably short. And when your hamstrings don't let your legs stretch out all the way and be fully supported on the bed, especially if you're a wheelchair user, you'll find that your hamstrings likely do not allow your legs to straighten out all the way and be fully supported in bed. You may also have tight hip flexors, so that when you lay in bed, rather than straightening out at the hips, instead your low back arches, which can cause discomfort. So let's start with your knees. If your knees go one side or the other, together or apart, this is telling you that you need a little bit of support. Try a towel or a pillow or a blanket tightly rolled. Try another small one under your calves so that your heels. And then next I want you to get some help to look at what's happening with your hips. Are your hips rolled to one side or the other? And this is real easy to fix. Just a little tug on the sheet, especially if you're using a draw sheet or a blue pad or something under the middle part of your body. You can just do a little tug on the sheet to straighten, and that's the easiest way. Also, if you find that your hips are rolled to one side or your knees are going to one side or the other, very likely you're going to get a great success with a pillow to guide your knees, a specially created pillow. And I'll talk a little bit more later about how to create that. What about your chest? So as you lay in bed and you've got a little bit of support underneath your knees now, so your back is starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. You've got your hips straight. So now what's happening with your chest? Does straightening the hips automatically straighten the chest, or do you see that one shoulder is trying to shift one way or the other, or even be higher or lower? So have a look, and the best landmark to use if you have a private area is to have someone look at your sternum. Look at your chest, where the two halves of your chest come together. And there's a little nub of bone called the xiphoid process. And if you've ever taken CPR, you know about the xiphoid process. So you're looking for the place where the center of your chest comes together. And you put your finger on that, and then you'll visually be able to see if your chest is shifted to one way or the other based on where that center line is. And that's going to really be helpful to you, because as you can see which way your chest is shifting, you're going to know which way you have to move to get back to being straight. You can make these adjustments the same way you adjusted your hips, with a little tug on the sheet or on the underpad. But how are you going to stay put? Now, what a lot of people are very comfortable with is using a tightly rolled towel underneath the sheet to give you some guidance to your chest. And we'll talk more about how to create those, how to use those in a way that they stay put and keep you comfortable through the night. Gone knees, hips, chest. So we're straight now there. So now with your knees supported, your hips and your chest straight, what's happening with your feet? Do your feet tend to go toes pointed towards the bed, toes up towards the ceiling? Do they tend to shift to one side or the other? You want your heels to be what we call floated. So you want your heels to not be touching the bed, because heels are very susceptible to pressure sores, and it's really just uncomfortable to bear weight through your heels. Now, the other piece that a lot of people really like is to have a little bit of support for their feet. It doesn't have to be a really firm, solid support. A rolled towel or a pillow gently supporting the balls of your feet. A lot of people really like the way that feels, and they find that very grounding. Now, what about your head? We've got your body aligned. Knees, hips, chest, feet are supported. When all that is in place, you might find that you're free to move your head from side to side, or you might find that you've got some muscle tightness on one side or the other to where when you're laying in bed, your head really always is going one way, or it's always rotating, or it's got a lateral bend. Once you're set in bed, have a look at what's happening with your head. You want your head to be free to move. If you find that your head is always going one way and you're not able to correct to the middle, you're not able to turn, you might want to add a little bit of support under your pillow. And it doesn't take very much. It could be a folded washcloth or a folded t-shirt, something small under your pillow so that if your head is wanting to do this, you're going to give it a little bit of support to create some freedom to how do we do this? What does this look like in real life? We'll see you in a minute. Alex, is it all right if we show everybody how you get tucked in bed at night? Okay, cool. So if I didn't already know you, I would notice that your knees are going to the left because your hamstrings don't quite straighten out all the way. And I have a feeling that your hips would be sore in the morning if I tried to put you to bed just like this. We used to use a long straight one. Right now we're using this one. And so first, under Alex's legs, so that we take the pressure off of his low back, and your hips can straighten out as much as they're comfortable to, but we're not going further than what they're comfortable with, and so Alex's low back is flat against the bed. There's different kinds of pillows that people use for thigh guides. This is a really common one. The Comfort Company makes this one. To go in right here, and that way Alex's legs can go straight up from the hips and not be twisted to the left or the right. Alex actually uses this blue one, and they're not terribly hard to make. I think I'll make a bonus video about how to make a homemade pillow in case you don't have access to a store-bought one. So what I'm looking for is that Alex's thighs are going straight from his hips. They're not going to the left, and they're not going to the right. They're going straight. And Alex's low back is against the bed because I've provided enough support under his knees. At his heels, so I've got Alex's heels floating. And when I say floating, I mean the heels, well, they're barely touching. So they're not resting on the bed. And the way I've done that is I have his heels dropping off the edge of the pillow. You might use a smaller pillow. And so you might need another small pillow, stuffed animal, or rolled towel to go here, so that the weight of your legs doesn't rest on your heel. We still have one thing missing, and that's some support for under his feet. So we have a little pillow under Alex's feet. So we have the mattress, and then we have this, and if this looks like non-slip rug backing to you, you're right, because that's what it is. It's non-slip rug backing. And I've got 2 layers of it, and I have some supports that I put in between those layers, and the non-slip on the top and the bottom keeps it from moving. And then on top of that, I have spacer mesh. This keeps the whole setup from being too sweaty, and it's washable. This is just the bed sheet. We like the stretchy t-shirt kind. I think they're called jersey. We use a waterproof pad, and this also works for a draw sheet for us. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we put the lateral supports in and then how we adjust. So we've already looked at legs and we've looked at hips. Now we're going to look at chest. We're going to add support. So I have taken a bath towel and I've rolled it really tight, and it works good to put hair ties around it. But the other thing that works really well is this is Coban. This is, some people call it vet wrap. And the special thing about Coban is that it sticks to itself, but it doesn't stick to skin, and it also doesn't stick to your towel. So you can take it off and wash the towel, you know, just in case it ever gets dirty. So you have your layers here, and you're gonna kind of pull up a little, and pull up a little as you push it under. You're not gonna pull up a lot because it's really gonna be uncomfortable if I shove something under Alex. Like, that's really not going to be nice to lay on. So I'm not putting it under him. What I'm doing is I'm putting it next to him. So you just tug a little because the pressure makes it stay put. So now it's snug up against him. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So in between my two layers. What I'm hoping to show you is that you just tug gently and tuck. This is one of the things that I'm always trying to find a better way to teach, because if you put it too loose, it doesn't work. And if you put it too tight and put it underneath, that's not good either. So if you remember from before, Alex's chest, Alex is very handsome but not quite straight. So here's the center. The distance from the center to the left is shorter than the distance from the center to the right, because Alex's midline, his middle, is shifted to the left. So when I have him all tucked in, I'm just very gently, not a lot, very gently, going to tug on the top layer and do a little shift. Because he's shifted to the left, I'm going to shift him back towards the middle. I'm going to check his hips, make sure I didn't go too much, and I kind of did. So I'm just going to, and it's a lot easier to do that little tweak on your draw sheet than it is to like grab somebody's hips and try and move their hips. And it's easier to do it just a little bit when you're using the draw sheet. Okay, give you your shirt back. Okay. Not everybody has tight elbows like Alex does. We use some pillows. These guys happen to be the right shape. Because Alex is real tight through here, so we... And Alex, you look pretty straight. Gonna check in. Alex, are you feeling comfortable? Excellent. Okay, so let's take it in order. We supported your legs with a pillow. We supported your sides, your chest with the towel rolls. We supported your thighs to be lined up with your hips with the blue pillow. We floated your heels on the same pillow that we used for your legs. We're supporting your feet. Your head does turn a little bit to the left.